just they're on the quali laps. Or you might actually be in the race.
No, I prefer spectate. Did the stream start? Yes, it did. Alright, we're back. I apologize. So far Stinson is in P1 in the MP.
Yeah, strange to see Stinson's pace carrying over to F2 as well. So
yeah.
maybe not as much difference between as Max retires from the session. Maybe he's lost traction as we were talking about that earlier.
Stinson invalidated his lap. So Stinson's basically disqualified. So that moves Mats, as of right now, into P1. I mean, all of these drivers...
Yeah, the Sauber Junior car?
Sauber Junior is Anders, as of right now, in P2. You know, all of these drivers... Yeah, all of these drivers are going to be running equal engines and equal setups. So that's going to make for quite an interesting race for this special event. So as of right now, Mats is going to be the first driver entering the final few corners. So let's just see what the times are.
Him and Anders.
It's pretty close between the two. Tommy's fighting with Leica. Yeah, so as of right now, Mats has put himself on pole position with a 149, almost a 141, so not too shabby from Mats. And then in P2, oh, Liv, what? How did?
No, Liv's left the session, I believe.
Oh,
Liv
alright.
lagged out, I think.
It's saying he's on pole position with a 129.8. Which I really don't think would be very possible. Yeah, Izati was disqualified from the session. Yeah, as of right now, it's putting Liv on pole position. I don't know what's going on.
I think it's Mats, right? Mats is on pole position.
Yeah, Mats will be on pole position. It's just showing Liv at the top. So yeah, Mats is gonna be on pole position with a 140.9. Anders and P2. Tommy P3, Leica P4, Proctor P5, Johto P6, Random P7, P8 will be Robbo, and P9 is Show, with P10 being Super Bounty.
I've got to say, Liv is clearly the favourite going into this.
Obviously, yeah.
He's done a really good job there, so...
Yeah.
Are you sure the stream is 100% up?
The stream is 100% up. Why? Because I even checked it, so... Yeah, it's on. I'm on the stream screen right now.
There we are. The heavy rain's there.
Oh, man. No, this is light rain. But that doesn't mean... That doesn't mean the drivers aren't going to be using full wets. Because the weather report, which I'm going to check right now on the radar... The weather report was showing light rain for possibly the first half of the race, and then the second half might show some heavy rain. So we will have to see.
I think we're going to see a lot of loss of traction going through every corner. I think we're going to see a few spinners actually.
AJ,
maybe even the race start. Yes.
Can you pull up the stream real quick, see if you can see the comments? Because I have the stream up right now. I can't really see anything in the chat.
Yeah, it won't be here. I'm gonna send a link.
Alright, yeah, send a test message real quick. The drivers are out on their formation laps. Liv leading the pack with, sliding around a little bit in the Sauber Junior team. And we have Mats close behind. They're all going to be on the full wet since it is raining fairly hard out there. Anders in P3, followed by Tommy in P4. Moving down the grid, we have Leica in P5 in the Carlin, followed by Proctor in P6, Johto P7, and Random in P8. How do you think these drivers are going to do in this kind of conditions, AJ?
I mean, it's super difficult. There's no doubt that we'll see a few spinners, and especially when we've got the two quickest guys who are actually out of this formation lap at the back of the grid, and arguably I would say Stinson's the best wet weather driver, I would say. So
Oh yeah, both MPs are out of the formation lap, so they're gonna be starting on some pretty cold tires. Lex, or not Lex, someone, hold on, someone spun. That was BJ Robbo, who was supposed to be in P9. He just spun, and he's now at the back of the grid. He might be, yeah, he's struggling a little bit with the tires there.
yeah, it looks like he's got overheated tires. Can you see on the brand new online Formula Racing app to see the tire temps?
I cannot because I do not have said app. I was not granted access to that, but I can, looking down on the thing, I can see his tires are fairly hot. So he might be trying to cool them down by racing a bit faster, but I don't know how that's going to work out for him. Liv is going to be the first person to line up on the grid. Mats is kind of holding up the pack a tiny bit, but it's not too much. He's only 12 seconds behind Liv in the formation lap. And then followed
I think
behind
Liv was going full pace as well.
Probably.
He has lagged out.
Yeah,
so.
he is lagging quite a bit. Santee over here. I'm watching for our toxic Lundies over here. Sword is ready for stabbing. Don't stab anyone, Santee. That's not nice. Do you want to do the lights out, AJ?
Sure, I'll go on board. What's got the best camera angle?
I feel like Proctor might be the best here, unless you want to move a bit down the grid.
Oh, I think Izzat has the best, if you're looking at him. Now,
alright, I'll go to Izzat, if I can find him.
Alright, so we've got the yellow flag, 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Lights out, and away we go for the special event here in online Formula Racing. It seems like Izzat got a really slow start there, and we've already got Sting, Kramer, and Dam's car, and he's going
Carlin's off,
and we have flying front wings everywhere.
Oh my gosh, someone's upside down! Someone's upside down. Who was that? I think that was Robbo. That was BJ Robbo. He immediately flipped over his car. I'm not quite sure what happened there. He's in
P6.
He's moved up though. So
he's
on a real
even though he was upside down.
Yeah, on a real quick note, the safety car has come out. So these drivers are going to have to do 1 extra lap before they can catch back up to the safety car, but they will have to make sure to keep their deltas positive, even though they haven't done a lap already.
So is this the shorter race or the longer race?
This will be the shorter race. Leica getting a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. And so yeah, as of right now, Mats has jumped. Liv has moved down 2 places into P3. Tommy's moved up 2 places up into P2. Anders has also moved down a place. Proctor moving up 1. Robbo somehow moving up 3 places from P9, even though he was flipped over. That was quite an interesting start to this special event. I don't think the drivers are quite used to having that lack of grip that they wouldn't normally get in an F1 car. That's the thing.
Alright, so Figgy, let's look at the damage. So looking at the damage, I think Max has damage, Lex has quite a bit of damage, Izzat, I don't think he has damage looking at his car.
Nobody really has a whole lot of damage. There were some front wings and end plates flying, but from some of the broadcast cameras, I can't really see a whole lot of people. I know Max has front end plate damage, so he's going to be going into the pits.
Yeah, Leica is got no front wing at all.
Yeah, Lex is also coming into the pits as well. Johto getting a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Super Bounty. But yeah, some of these drivers have some pretty bad damage. Most of them are in the pits, actually. I think a lot of these drivers are trying to get new front wings or new tires, one of the two. But I don't think new tires would be very much different as of right now.
I think it's just a free pit stop for the people at the back.
Lex is changing his tires.
But yeah, he had a lot of front wing damage.
Yeah, I
Um,
forget that in this game you can't decide, no, I'm going to keep my tires.
yeah,
But,
I don't think it usually happens in real life anyway. Simply
yeah,
because
probably not.
the time that it takes to replace the front wing, it's easy to put the tires on, or a different set of tires on.
So, as of right now, the grid hasn't really changed a whole lot. Some of the front runners have moved down. Leica is now in dead last. Let's move down to Leica, who's coming out of the pit lane right now. He's pretty far behind the rest of the grid. That's the thing. These pit stops are significantly longer than a normal F1 pit stop, only because of the less amount of engineers and crew workers actually changing the tires on these cars, even though they only have one bolt in the center of the tire.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, they have half. I think. One person for each tire, and then for the
And
front wing, I believe there's either one or two. I'm not sure.
I believe it's one person. Like they obviously have the people that jack up the car, but each person on the tire has to hold an individual tire. There's nobody holding another tire for them to make that quick swap. So some of these drivers have to catch up. Super Bounty trailing the pack that's behind the immediate safety car, or that's immediately behind the safety car, but a bit of ways away is Max, who's on the back straight as of right now, trying to catch up with the rest of the grid. And then Johto and the rest of the grid seem to have a little bit of trouble. Super Bounty getting a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. These time penalties are definitely gonna be a deciding factor at the end of the race.
Yeah, in fact, I'll look at them. Max has none. Neither has Tommy. I'm not going to check Liv because he's technically not in it. Anders doesn't have any. Proctor has a 5-second. BJ Robbo does not have any. Show does not either. Izat, neither he doesn't either. Max doesn't. Johto Jisu has one.
Yeah.
Lex has 2 warnings.
Oh,
Random
sorry to cut
has
you off real quick. BJ spinning out under the safety car. That's going to bump him down a few positions back into P9, which is the position that he started the race in. And then real quick, Proctor was getting a little bit too close to Anders in the first sector, approaching that third corner. Getting a bit risky here under safety car, but please continue.
Yeah, I think most of the other drivers have about 10 to 15 seconds worth of penalties right at the back. I think the person with the most might be Robot has 4 penalties.
Wow.
4 penalties in his...
Real quick, Random coming out of the pits right now near the back of the pack. He's 24 seconds behind Leica. Seems that the rest of the grid, other than Robot, no, actually, still everybody's still falling behind. Johto is still trying to catch up to the safety car. I think the safety car might stay out for a bit longer. Some of these drivers, I guess they're feeling a bit nervous to go hard racing in this rain just because of what they've seen at the start of this race.
Could be a loss of traction for most corners, and a lot of understeer. Lex picks up a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. Not sure what happened there. It must have either been a very major... I think it's either a major corner cut or it's
Slight
one of those unfair safety car penalties.
Maybe. The crowd is bunching up quite a bit as the safety car is in this lap. These cars, they're going to be racing as hard as they can upon exit. Matt's leading them extremely quickly to the start-finish line. A lot of these leaders, they'll try and hold back the pack as much as they can and then get a surprise exit, but not Matt's. He's just going for it at the beginning of this restart. Sliding a bit.
It's worked for him perfectly, and he's already got a...
Liv is off. Liv's in the gravel. Sorry to cut you off, but Liv was fighting with Tommy a bit for P2, and he's gone off.
I don't think Liv is actually part of the race.
I don't think so either. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't think.
Random is still 30 seconds behind the rest of the grid. He's just now approaching the start-finish straight. The only person that's really battling is Max with Show. Max is 2/10 down off of Show, but he's losing out a little bit out of that very slow set of corners. BJ's gonna try and go around Max. Is he gonna make the move? Is he gonna get the move done? I meant to say, Max still staying ahead of Robbo as Jotu collides with the rear of Robbo, and young Stinson gets a jump on Jotu.
Yep, and a few drivers still to yet catch up. Leica, Super Bounty, Robot, and Lex were yet to catch up, and Random still trying to catch up with Lex now. And yep, the top 10 have all lost positions. Or sorry, the bottom 10, or the bottom 7 have all not gained places, and he's at, yep, as you said, he's gained quite a few positions along with Max and Stinson.
Jotu, as of right now, is on the tail of BJ Robbo. BJ Robbo is trying to get as much toe as he can from Show. As he goes, he's going to be setting himself up for the outside of this long right-hander. Can he get past him? He does, but is he going to keep it? I don't think so. He's still fighting with Show right now going into the slow set of corners near the start-finish, but he stays in front of him.
Yeah. And there's a battle between Stinson and Max. Stinson tries to go down the inside of the last corner. That will not work. Luckily, he backs out of it, and there was no contact between the two. And I think Stinson might be the quickest guy out here, even without the traffic. And he tries to go down the inside, and he locks up badly. And Max is going to come back through and into that four. And I think Max is going to have to concede the position now, as Lex retires from session in the pit lane. So clearly not having a good time with the F2 cars.
That's always...
Yeah, Max needs to stay behind Stinson.
It's always sad to see whenever one of the drivers is feeling that out of it in a race, that they retire in the pit lane, you know. But yeah, not too much is happening. Anders is trying to fight for positions against Proctor, but he's not doing too hot. Proctor's now pulling away from him into the... I gotta get these turns, man. Stinson right on the back of Anders.
There's a slow Tommy, and he's coming across the track, and he's spun.
Tommy just hit Stinson. Tommy hit Stinson.
Tommy
Stinson's lost his entire
control.
front wing. Stinson lost his entire front wing. Wow.
Literally nothing.
It seems
Tommy
though
was out of control.
It seems though
track.
that Tommy... Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, Tommy seems to have gotten better off out of that little collision than Stinson did. Stinson losing the entirety of his front wing. Tommy still has some bits and pieces left, but there's no doubt that both of these drivers are going to come in and pit for a new front wing.
I'm looking at a robot coming out of Maggots and Beckett's, and he was not trying to get on the throttle anytime soon. He was so tentative on that throttle, and it cost him so much time to Super Bounty. He needs to get a little bit more confident with throttle, and we've got tons of people in the pit lane now. I didn't think it was mandatory to pit. Maybe the tyres are just gone.
Yeah, a lot of these people, they're not having a whole lot of fun with this race. I think a lot of people didn't really get a whole lot of training with the F2 cars, because the F2 cars definitely handle extremely different than these high grip F1 cars. Oh, there is a safety car?
I did not realise there was a safety car. It has not come up on my screen, but there is a safety car.
Yeah, I see it. Mats is the only driver that's pretty close to it. Proctor's trying his best to catch up, but that safety car is going pretty fast, especially for these F2 cars. For F1 cars, obviously, the safety car goes maybe about 60 miles per hour, or like 100 kilometers an hour. So for the F1 cars, that's kind of slow. But for these F2 cars, it is fairly fast, and the grid will have to catch up as best they can.
talking about speeds, the safety car does it's pretty rapid in a straight line usually.
Mhm.
But when it gets to corners, it just can't compete with these single-seater cars. And
Yeah.
Stinson has
So far, this
actually
is the second
not that.
safety car. Most of the
Yeah,
drivers are over 15 seconds away from Johto, Proctor, and Mats. So it is safe to say
all
the
Vito.
track is pretty spread out right now. Like, especially for Formula 2 cars, this is a very, very long track. So these Formula 2 cars, they have to deal with, low grip and extremely low grip settings, along with a low amount of downforce, a low top speed, low power, significantly lower than the Formula 1 cars. So I think a lot of these drivers, since they haven't gotten a whole lot of training, they're still trying to adjust the best they can while also keeping up with what they think can be their race pace.
Yeah, so before the safety car, we saw some good pace from Stinson, and as we know, he's a rain god in OFR. So
But as of right
uh,
now, he's in
carry him on.
P13. He's
Yeah.
he and the thing is, Stinson is showing a lot of pace under the safety car. It's just that he can't get past anyone. Because Tommy and Super Bounty, under other circumstances, they would be easy pickings for a driver like Stinson, but under this safety car and with all this rain, he can't seem to make any moves.
I expect a safety car in this lap.
More than likely, except we still have Robbo, who's a solid minute behind the safety car. So far, Mats has been leading the Grand Prix this entire race. How do you think this is going to do for the rest of this feature race?
Yeah, Robert's retired in pit lane.
So we
Could
have...
you repeat the question, please?
I was just asking, Mats has been leading this race for the entirety of both safety cars and the 7 laps we've been out on track. How do you think this is going to carry over into our sprint race?
Well, he'll have to start 8th if he does into the sprint race. I think he might be able to carry his pace from there. Is it going to be dry to start off with, or is it going to be wet to start off with and then goes to dry?
Checking the weather report right now, it looks like we're going to be having some heavy rain going into the second race, into the sprint race. So these drivers are going to have to look out for that as well.
Interesting.
Is there going to be a...
Yeah,
there's going to be... Sorry, go ahead.
there's going to be... I think Max is going to carry his pace. And then looking at the rest of the top 8, actually most of them, D2, D3 drivers, I mean, the guys behind, all D3, D2 drivers. Then we've got Izak behind, as we know, who's very quick. Anders and Max, they're all very, very quick drivers. And then you've got Random, who is a quick D2 driver. And then you've got Show, who will be starting P9 if he stays there. But then again, we've got Stinson, we've got Leica,
We have Proctor
we've got Tommy, we've got Super Bounty, we've got all of these guys are so quick. And safety car is in next lap, I reckon.
Yes, the safety car should be in this lap. Proctor's going into the pits for, I believe, a new set of tires. I'm just staying on Robot for this safety car because for some of these straights he has the camera angles. I cannot talk. The camera angles for most of this track are actually pretty good when on Robot, so I'm just gonna stick with him as of right now for the safety car. The track seems to be bunching up a lot more now. We finally have Leica, who's caught up with Stinson. So
what do you think the tire wear's like right now?
well, with the with most of this chaos that's been going on in this race, the tires for Formula 2 cars are notorious for losing almost all of their wear in just a few laps. I don't know how it works, but I just know that Formula 2 cars' tires do not last very long, or as long as people would like them to last. Looking at the tire wear for most of these drivers, Mats is the only driver who has not pitted under either safety car, or I believe we had one virtual safety car, but I'm not quite sure. But nevertheless, he hasn't pitted at all. He's stayed out, so he does have the oldest tires out of anyone. Proctor, having gotten new wets, he has the newest tires, but most of these drivers right now are sitting on 2-lap-old softs. The only people that aren't is Random, which is on 5 laps. OFR and Johto are both on 6 laps, and then Mats is on 7 laps.
Yeah, so most people opt into pit under safety cars. Do you reckon we'll see another pit stop from the guys, the top 3?
Safety cars in this lap. So you were right with your prediction.
I think the maximum is 4 laps usually.
More than likely. Robot, spectating Robot, I can see he's absolutely ready to try and jump Johto as soon as he can. Mats is going to be keeping it slow into this long right-hander. So we will just have to see who comes out on top after this restart. Is the T getting a position
full
back?
power now? He is. He's already gone through full power, and he's already got an 8/10 gap.
Wow. I don't think Johto was very ready for that restart. Robot right now hot on the tail of Johto. It's just that he lost the rear end a bit, so did Johto. So that might give him a little bit of an edge here. Is a T 3/10 down, 2/10 down off of Robot. Is he gonna lift into the corner? Yes, he does. I think you got to do that with these wet tires. The heavy rain might be coming in a bit now, but most of these tires are most of these cars are pretty much bunched together. Max right on the tail end of Anders. I think he's gonna try and make a move into the straight, but I'm not quite sure. Liv trying his hardest. The disconnected, going around the outside of Show through that corner. That was a very nice move on Liv's part.
Yep, we got Izak trying to go around the outside of Robot, and he's got it done. So yeah, great job from Izak there, and he's gonna go chasing after Yoto Yusu.
Oh, Max and Anders are having. You want to commentate over this battle? Yeah,
they're doing a really good job of going side by side through the final pit straight, the old pit straight, and Anders got that position so far, and Max loses control and he smashes into the wall, and he's got a lot of front wing damage on his right side, and that's the end of that battle. And now we've got Anders trying to go on the back of Robot through Maggots and Beckett's, and Anders takes the position off of Robot, and that shows how good these D1 guys are in the rain. And now we've got Izak on the back of Yoto Yusu, and the gap is about 0.3 of a second, and he's going to try go down the inside through here, and he's not going to actually attempt the move. Maybe into the final chicane he might just be able to attempt it. I'm going to try down the inside, and he gets the move done. Great move from Izak. And then we've also got Stinson overtaking Super Bounty, and Super Bounty spins going into chicane, and
retired.
I don't know what happened to them.
I don't know. There seemed to be a big collision. Proctor getting out of there with some heavy front wing damage. That's definitely going to affect his in-lap as of right now. There was a big battle going on with Stinson and Super Bounty. Stinson seemed to came out on top, and there seemed to be a few of them. Another safety car already.
Yep, and
so that's 3. I feel like we'll get through maybe one more before the race is over.
I don't think there'll be a safety car. I don't think there can be a safety car in the final 3 laps. And if there is, it usually at least gives 1 lap. But yeah, it was weird. I think Super Bounty shifted into first gear, and usually when that happens,
Johto getting
you knock the rear end.
Yeah, Johto getting a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Same with Tommy. Most of the grid has gotten time penalties. I feel like some of them, and Johto's missing a front left end plate, so that loss of downforce is definitely going to affect the car. I think How many of these drivers do you think are going to try and pit in for new sets of wets?
I don't think there'll be too many.
There might be a
I think,
couple. Most of the drivers are stuck on 4 laps, 8 laps, 7 laps, 9 laps for Mats. Johto has 8 laps as well, but he's going to have to come in for that new end plate.
I'm gonna say Proctor will obviously be in for another. I don't
Pro-
think there'll be too many others. Um,
Proctor will definitely be coming in this lap for a new end plate. Tommy, I don't think he has any damage, and neither does the rest of the grid. Everybody else looks pretty good. It's so strange, in all honesty, seeing Stinson in P10, because this is normally a driver who has quite a bit of pace when he's in an F1 car, but I don't think too many of these drivers are still quite used to the F2 cars just yet.
yeah, it's difficult to switch over between the two.
And plus, most of these drivers, as I said previously, they're going to be running default setups. So the only thing they can really mess around with is their brake bias. But even then, I don't think that's going to affect it too much. Isn't there
I'm
going
just
to...
looking at the animation of their pits, and the front right tire jack guy, actually pushes the wheel to the left front guy. That's interesting to see.
I guess it must be
There's
interesting to see the fastest pit stop ever in F2. Alright.
Yeah,
There
I
will
think
be... Will there be a second race after this? I don't quite remember.
yes, there will be. There'll be another. I think it'll be shorter, I believe, because it's a sprint race. I believe it'll be like 10 laps, I think,
Yeah, more than likely. More than
and
likely.
it'll be a very long race still. As we've seen, this race has already gone about 25 minutes.
Just about, just alone with the amount of times the safety car has been out. So, re-going over the grid once again, we have Mats, who's been leading a majority of the race. He has come up from P2. Izati, who's come up from P15, up 13 positions, up into P2. Izat, I mean to say, I apologize. Johto in P3, who's come up from P7. Anders, he's dropped a position from P3 into P4. Robot, he's in P5. He's qualified P12. Max, P6. He's come up 8 positions from P14. Liv, after quote-unquote starting on pole position, has dropped down 6 places. Random has stayed, and Random is in the exact same spot behind his teammate in P8. Show has only come up 1 position into P9, and Stinson has come up 6 from the very back of the grid up into P10.
Yeah, I think there's going to be one more lap on the safety car.
So under the safety car restart, we'll only have... How many laps of total racing do you think we've done so far? 5 or 6?
So I think we had the first 3 laps on the safety car, and then we had about 2 laps of that. I think we've had about 4.
I think we might have only 6 laps of racing, since we've had 3 safety cars, and the safety cars last about 3 laps, and so there's 15 laps, so we're only going to have about 6 laps of racing in total. Just listening to those pops, though, they sound amazing, although the engine sounds aren't much to be desired.
Well, it's one thing that's better than F1.
Yeah, the engine sounds are a lot quieter. You don't have to hear a screeching in your ear for 50% of the race.
For some reason Robot's gone ahead of Max. Max has front wing damage and he hasn't replaced it. Look how much front wing he has.
Oh my.
Not as much.
Oh, that's. He's going to have to get that replaced. There is almost little to nothing left of that front wing. That's the thing. I think Robot was actually getting the position back from Mats after having a little accident in one of the corners in Sector 2. Liv picking up a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. The penalties are a lot more strict when they're under safety car. That's the thing, because normally it'd be a 3-second time penalty if it was race pace, but since we're under the safety car, it's a lot more dangerous. And the
I think
safety...
they're trying to stop people that are really, really far behind catching up so easily. But then it just makes these unfair penalties for no reason.
Yeah, track limits are not very consistent in this game.
A lot of people with penalties.
Yeah, like I said, the penalties will be the deciding factor here. The entire grid bunching up looks honestly amazing. Whenever you have Mats in the shot and you have like everybody else behind him. Mats going a bit wide on the restart. He's gone all out already, as usual. But this time I think Izat was ready for that. He was probably expecting that as well. These drivers are shifting fairly early in the rain. I don't think they're letting their cars get into the high revs for fear of losing the rear end.
I think a lot of obviously traction issues.
Oh, Liv is fighting with Max. Sorry to cut you off. Max going a little bit too deep into the corner and slightly tapping Liv upon exit.
Yep, Stinson's got passed on somebody. Tommy's actually all the way down in 11th, and Mike is really struggling right now for traction, and he's actually in last place and battling Proctor. Interestingly enough, and Riker is last right now, and he's going to be fighting Proctor, who's quite far ahead now. So Leica just losing tons of time. He loses the rear end in the braking zone. We've got a bit of front wing damage going off into the distance. I've forgotten what the corner name is, and Max is already clearing away. He's doing a really good job at the moment, and
I think Matt's
ahead of that point.
Mats might have a really good chance of winning this featured race. Going a bit further down the grid, Liv currently having a wheel-to-wheel battle with Robot right now. Robot able to get past and keep that P5. A bit further down, Stinson and Max seem to be trying to crash their party. Stinson getting a bit closer to the pair of them than Mats is.
Robot's actually about to be overtaken by Liv. And Liv's trying to go around the outside. He's going to brake later. He brakes about 100 meters, and Liv's got the move, and he's gone a bit wide, but he's actually managed to keep it on track. And actually, Robot's got a really good run on him. Is he going to go down the inside? He really outbrakes himself there.
We might have had three wide for a moment there, because I'm on board with Stinson right now. I just got a really good shot of Stinson trying to go on the outside of Liv. He seems to be shifting up extremely late, kind of overbearing the gears there.
And Tommy's round. Tommy's round along with Random. They both have front wing damage, heavy front wing damage.
Random's completely lost his front wing. Tommy got away a little bit well, but he's lost a lot of his front wing. Random has almost no downforce whatsoever. He might have to let Tommy pass so then he doesn't mess up the race for him.
So is Matt's tires gonna pop 13 laps in, and he's still like extending his gap by a little bit each lap. But I think 2 laps to go, or 1.5, and he's looking comfortable.
His tires have lasted this entire race. The wets do last quite a bit, so I can see how he'd be looking to, push these tires all the way to the end of the race. Moving down to Liv, he's going to be trying to get the jump on Stinson, but I think he lost out at the exit of that corner in the entrance of Maggots and Beckett's. Going a bit wide.
Random carrying on, so not boxing in for the final, and he's going to do the rest of the race. Oh wait, no, sorry, they already crossed the pit entry. I've forgotten. Yeah, he's random, not really enjoying his time here at Silverstone, race 1, and yeah, it's going to be disappointing for him. And at the moment, Leica is near Proctor, so let's stay on board with them. And Leica's a little bit too far behind at the moment. He's upset the
He's still
quickest
gonna try
lap, and
and
like
still gonna try and
Victor
dive down
was
the
trying
inside.
there.
Gets a massive tank slapper into the entry of that corner, trying to dive down the inside.
Yep, and
Oh,
Liv
and
overtakes Yoto Yusu. Yeah, and
that's how you pronounce his
yeah,
name,
that's
Yoto?
I'm not sure. That's all I heard from Leica on Saturday or Sunday. So
Well,
I'm gonna go with that.
I don't think these drivers are going to be fighting too much, going slow out of these corners. Livs gets a much better exit than Johto as he starts to pull away. Johto losing the rear end of his car. So most of these drivers are spread out. Proctor right on the tail of Max. He's going to try and get the toe. And since these drivers can't really change their fuel mixture, it's going to be pretty hard to try and get the overtake done. He's just got to make sure not to lock up and go too deep. Trying to get as close as he can to Max for the exit of the corner. But I think that little... Oh, and he messed up. He made a mistake and he's gone off track. And Leica
And
gets the
that's
jump on him.
Leica. And shows a little bit too far behind to catch Proctor at this moment in time. But I'm sure Show will be wanting to catch Proctor for P9, which I believe is 3 points. 2 points. Liv picks 3-second penalty. I'm sure as Mats comes around the final sector now, and he's going to take the win over Ease Out. I don't believe either of them have penalties, so Matt's going to take.
Is more than likely the only person that doesn't have any penalties at all as he comes around the final corner. Is that close behind? Matt's making a slight mistake, but both of them crossing the line fairly easily. Next is Young Stinson and Anders, both staying in their positions. Then Liv crosses the line, and he moves down into P6 because of penalties. Johto moving up into P5, even though he's gotten a 5-second time penalty.
P5.
Oh,
Max takes P5, and Liv is all the way down in 10th now.
Oh,
after crossing the line in 5th.
Man, that's insane.
Leica has a 5-second penalty. Sorry. Robot might get overtaken by Tommy. It depends how many penalties he's got. As he comes around the final corner now. I don't think he's quite going to get it. No, he's still 9 seconds behind. Yeah. And Random crossing the line with no front wing at all for the final position.
Going
other
a bit
than
wide.
at DNF.
Wow, that was quite an interesting race. As I said earlier in the race, you know, these penalties, they will be a very big deciding factor for our drivers today. As we go onto the podium, I don't remember the teams. Oh, Trident taking the win for today. And an MP 2-3, so not too bad from both MP drivers.
Yeah, so it's a win for Trident. And let's see what these drivers can do in the second race, the sprint race, which is about 25 to 30% shorter than the previous one. I think the long race is meant to be an hour long, and then the other one's meant to be 45 minutes.
So Liv getting the largest penalty out of all of the drivers, a 26-second time penalty. Lex leaving the session. I don't think he's going to be trying too hard for the sprint race. I'm not entirely sure how the sprint race starts, so I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
It's a normal start. Proctor will be on pole position. That's how it's going to work. Yeah. But Proctor in the best position house the sprint race.
I'm not sure how the sprint races start, so we are going to have to see how it works out. So we shall see now who starts on pole.
And it's nice and sunny.
Nice and sunny. So looking at the weather report, we are going to be starting out with clear weather for the start of this race. I think a lot of the drivers are breathing a heavy sigh of relief seeing that bright sunshine and those clear skies. But weather radar does show some heavy rain will be moving into the area later on in the race. So we are going to have to be seeing a lot of different pit strategies here and there, and when people would probably like to pit. So it will be interesting.
And
What
most of the drivers are readied up now.
What are your predictions for this race, seeing as to how we're starting out?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna say gonna be a Stinson win.
A Stinson win? You think Stinson can bring it back?
I think he can.
Well, Stinson
See,
is next to is a T and P6 and P7. I know a lot of these drivers are. Oh, so Proctor will be starting on the soft tire. Johto to Anders. These four, Johto, Max, and Sho, are going to be starting on the hard tire. And then Stinson and Izza are both starting on the soft. Mats and Leica on the hards, Liv on the softs. Robot is going to be starting on the hards. Probably a very good tactical decision since he's P11. And his teammate as well.
Spinning.
Oh, there's a spin.
Spinning.
That
That's
I can't
gonna be
really.
2 people, 3 sets. I believe it's Super Bounty. I think
Super Bounty and Random are both disqualified from the formation lap.
So we've got a Stauber junior team driver, and we've also got an ART.
Yes. Going back on to Liv, who is the other Sauber Junior team driver. He's currently behind Leica. Liv being an extremely quick driver in D1, and also I'm pretty sure he has a very high chance of overtaking Leica here, but he's lagging quite a bit. So I think he's pretty much not in this race at this point.
Who is?
Liv. He's lagging quite a bit through this formation lap. At least his onboard is, that's the thing.
Yeah, he is lagging quite a bit.
Proctor actually keeping up with the... Proctor actually staying with the rest of the grid instead of trying to go all out as Mats did earlier. We will just have to see how he starts his race. How do you think the rest of the grid's chances are now that we finally have some dry weather? It looks to be pretty hot out there.
I think it's going to give the advantage, or give him more of an advantage to the D1 guys. I think if they were training for a dry race. Yeah, I think the people that put the most practice in will come out on top.
Yeah,
But
the drivers are getting fairly close together. Who has the best camera angle for this? Alright, so it's 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4, 5. It's lights out and away we go. So far nothing's happened too much. Anders getting a jump, Sho getting a jump on his teammate as they all go into the first corner. Nothing's happened so far. Oh, and Anders has gone off. Anders has gone off. He got a bit too wide, touched the grass there. So that's moved him down quite a bit. Leica close behind his teammate right now. I think he's going to try and make a move through this straight. They can't really change their fuel. We have Johto a bit away from Sho. Sho's very far behind from Proctor. Proctor getting an amazing start out of the sprint race.
Oh, we've got Yoto Yusu round, and he's going to fall back to the rear of the pack, and he actually hits some people when he's out of the race. So it's completely sheared off, and that's also left Super Bounty in a difficult situation. We've also got Robot, the Carlin driver, straight into the wall too. Wow. And we've also got Virtual Safety Car.
a virtual safety car already. So I don't think this race will be as eventful in regards to having the safety car, but we will just have to wait and see. Is a T pretty close to Max? I think he's gonna try and get a move done, but I don't think. Do we still have a virtual safety car? Because a lot of these drivers are going. Alright, so Izzy going around the outside of the long right-hander on Max, but will Max try and get the position back? I don't think he can. Max in the Trident, who won the feature race, is going to try his best to get close to Max, but I don't think that's going to work out too well for him. Random right on the tail of Leica, only 4/10 down, but Leica getting a better exit out of the corner. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move on him anytime soon.
Oh, he's going to take P2 off of Show, and he's going to be trying to catch up with Proctor now. And as I said, Stinson looks good in the dry, and Izat's going to try and make a move, I reckon, around the outside. And he's braking later, and he's actually made the move stick almost, but no, Show gives him a nice shunt off the track. Perfectly legal, and he had the racing line, but then Isaac comes back for the switchback and he gets into P3, and I'm not sure if Show's going to try and go back round. He's in the slipstream again, so he's going to try and go down the inside, but that's not going to work out for him. He has to back out, and Isaac is going to be off and away.
Jumping onto the onboard.
Now I've got Max on the back of Show.
I just jumped onto the onboard with Max. Both of these drivers are on the hard tire. The hard tire does have a lot less grip. I think that's why Show had to sort of give out onto that fast right-hander.
Ooh, Matt's round, and he's into the barrier. The winner of race 1 is into the barrier now. And I don't think he has any front wing damage.
He doesn't have any front wing damage. No, he got away from that fairly easily. Jumping back up to Random, who's currently still on the tail of Leica. He tried to go and overtake around the outside, but that did not seem to work out for him too well. I think the drivers are going to be a bit happier now. DRS has been enabled, so we will see a lot more overtakes. I'm going to jump up to Stinson right now as they go through the detection zone for the first DRS zone. Proctor locking up into the left-hander. Stinson close behind. I think he's going to try and make a move on the DRS straight. Stinson gets DRS. Can he get past him? Proctor trying to defend the inside as best he can. Stinson going around the outside. Can Proctor defend the inside? Yes, he can, and he will. But I think Stinson's not given up yet, and Stinson does get past and move into P1.
And can I just say, Figgy, that Max is in net race lead at the moment because he is on the hard compound tyre, and Izat and the other two are on the softs, and I do not think you have to pit in the sprint race. So I think the top 3 do have to pit, and Max won't. So
yeah,
at this moment in time, the 2 Dams drivers are looking good.
The 2 Dams drivers looking at a very, very solid 1-2 finish for this special event. MP is gonna have to worry about a possible double stack. And in an F2 race, a double stack can cost you a lot of time that most of these drivers already don't have. I think we have a Trident, or what is that car? A Carlin trying to go outside of the Sauber, but I don't think the move was very successful. Random now on the tail of Show on the harder tire, but he does get a very better exit out of it as Tommy goes a bit wide, almost drifting out of that final corner.
A lot of oversteer for him.
Almost drifting out of that final corner, but Random is not giving up. I think he's going to try and get DRS out of this corner. Show is outside of the DRS zone, or outside of DRS range from Leica, so he won't be able to make a move. Random does get DRS. It's not really helping him a whole lot. Is he going to try and dive down the inside? Oh, it seems that Show seemed to outbrake him into that corner, and Tommy goes around the outside. Wow, what a move by
all the
Tommy.
D1 drivers are doing that today. And actually, Random trying to stick his nose back in, but it doesn't quite work out for him.
I was on the onboard.
We got a yellow flag sector 3. That's BJ Robbo, I believe, in the final sector.
No, BJ Robbo is, yeah, BJ Robbo in the final sector, followed by Robot, who's in dead last. Well, yeah, I was on the onboard. I was on the onboard with Tommy, and all I saw was the nose cone of a Sauber peeking his head in on the inside, like a little curious. Tommy will get...
This is where they'll start pitting, I believe. A couple of drivers will pit within the next 2 laps, I think. The top 3 especially.
Oh, sorry to cut you off.
As soon as possible.
Sorry to cut you off. Tommy making a dive down the inside as Tommy and Random both spin off the track, getting some front wing damage. Tommy is out of the race. He was carrying a bit more speed than Random into that barrier. I think Random was trying to go down the inside of Tommy and make a move, but it didn't really work out too well. Tommy seemed to touch the left or the right rear of Random touched the right rear of Tommy, causing them both to spin out and put us under a VSC. But as of right now, most of the grid is fairly spread out because of their deltas. BJ Robbo and one other driver getting a 3-second time penalty, most likely for extending track limits.
And the VSC is now over. R is no longer neutralized, and the top 3 are well out in front. And actually Izzat is right on the back of Proctor, so I think this is the battle to watch in a moment, as Proctor needs to defend the outside, to be honest, because there's no way Izzat would have had to give up the position if he went on the inside, because there's no space there. Proctor is now going to go side by side with Izzat through Magnus and Beckett, and they do hit each other, but I think Izzat's going to have to give that one up, but he's going to try to get the switch back out of Magnus and Beckett, and now he's going to get DRS. And is this going to be his time to overtake? He's going to try to go around the outside, and he is now free, clear and in front of the pack. And Izzat is now into P2. And Proctor's going into the pits as Izzat tries to fake pit him. That's an interesting tactic from him there. Proctor is... that just shows that the top 2 do need to pit, and Max I don't think will. And we've also got Anders off. Anders has crashed into the barrier and is a virtual safety car, so this is going to give him huge advantage to Proctor, who's in the pits.
I was trying to get an onboard of another driver passing by, but off in the distance you can see Anders' car off of the track. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Maybe he might have lost the rear end, and in trying to correct, he got the sudden downforce and hit the wall head on. But we do have another virtual safety car out, so a lot of these drivers have to slow down for their deltas.
Yeah, looking at where he crashed, I would say it's contact with another driver.
More than likely.
Simply because it's a little bit too far away from Cop's corner.
More than likely. Random pitting for the soft tire, and he's currently 12 seconds behind his teammate in catching, but I don't think he's going to be able to get the move done quite yet.
And we're back away now.
Matt's getting fairly closer to Super Bounty as of right now. These two drivers, haven't been in too much contact this season for the special event, or for this race, I mean. But I think Mats is going to try and get a move done into the DRS zone. He's now 5 tenths behind Super Bounty. I'm going to jump onto the odd board with him right now, trying to get the tow through Maggots and Beckett's, but I think he's going to try and stick behind him and not make any unnecessary moves, because that is how most of his fellow drivers did DNF. He is going to get the DRS into the second DRS zone. He's going to go around the outside, and he's going to get past him with little to no resistance from Super Bounty. Jumping onto the onboard of Super Bounty. He's not trying to outbrake him or anything. I think he recognizes Mats is a little bit faster, but he might try and make a move into the last few corners. He's going to try and dive down the inside. No, he will not. and Mats is going to be able to get away very clean out of that encounter.
And interesting, the net battle for the lead, Leica is starting to catch up with Max.
I think these two teammates might have a little bit of a squabble here in a bit, because although the front two are fairly distant from each other, I don't think that they will have to worry much about pitting, because if I check the interval to the leader, Leica is about 10 seconds behind Stinson, with Max 9 seconds behind. But if either one of them pit, they will lose all of that time, and these two drivers will get 1-2 for their team.
What I think is that Isaac will be behind Proctor, if I'm not mistaken, because Proctor did pit under VSC. And I think the tyres are going to start to be dead soon. So I'm going to go on board with Stinson and see if he pits in this lap.
I don't see the little wrench on his telemetry, but he will be going in this lap. So that will put Izzy into the lead, having to defend from two extremely quick drivers for the Dams team, both Maximus and Leica. Leica still on the tail of Maximus. Maximus locking up into the left-hander, but he does get a better exit than Leica out of the final corner, so he will be pulling away from there. Izzy getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and
that's
since
critical.
Max is within 3 seconds of that, so he will basically be in front of Izzy, and he is in first place as of right now.
Let's see Stinson coming out the pit lane now. He'll be only just ahead of Proctor, surprisingly. Only just ahead. That shows how much you gain out of the VSC. And that means Proctor will definitely be ahead of Isaac.
Proctor is going to be trying his hardest to try and get past Stinson, but I don't think he's going to be able to. He is outside of DRS range. Moving on up, the only drivers that are fairly close together are the two Dams teammates, Leica and Max. I think Leica's going to try and get as close as he can. I'm going to jump on board with Leica right now. Max getting a 3-second time penalty, but I think Leica is going to try and stay in close as he can to his teammate to try and get his DRS and make a jump on him. Izzy will more than likely be coming in this lap for a possible undercut, but the two Dams teammates, they're going to be able to stay out fairly easily.
Yeah, I don't think there's no undercut here. He's just going to hope that he can get past Proctor, which, looking at the moment, he's actually staying out.
He's actually
staying out another lap. As you can see, look,
since he's battling for position.
Oh, he's had a puncture for Isaac.
Are you a front left puncture. Okay.
He had a puncture.
I haven't seen this in any of these races that we've had so far. I've never seen somebody get a puncture. He's going to have to let both of the Dams drivers by, as we pretty much have a Dams 1-2 for this race. But let's just see who can get in front at the end of this. Max is locking up. Leica is on the tail of Max. He will get DRS. He loses the rear end a little bit. But is that going to affect much? No, it will not. As Leica tries his best to stay in the slipstream of Max, but it doesn't work out too well. But I think with Max's 3-second time penalty, OFR Leica pretty much has this race in the bag.
Does Max have a penalty? I didn't even realize.
Max got a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Izzy losing a lot of time because of that puncture. I think he's going to be fairly far down the grid because of this pit.
Liv, to be honest.
He might be behind Liv. If he's lucky, he will stay in the top 10. If it's unlucky, then he will not be in the top 10 at the end of the race. Jump into the broadcast.
I'm pretty sure he'll be in the top 10, simply because it's a 50 or between him and Random. I think it's probably about 40 seconds at this moment in time.
Matt's moving back up into a podium position around the outside of Izzy. A very nice maneuver, although Izzy does have that front left puncture.
I'm
Moving
surprised
on.
how well Izat's controlling his puncture.
Let's get a quick look at
And
these
he's
pit
staying
stop.
out.
Why? Don't think he finds a reason. I think he has a better chance of keeping a higher position. That might be what he's going through his mind. He has a higher chance of keeping a higher position if he stays out than if he goes in to try
There's
and
no
get the
chance.
puncture repaired.
There's no chance for him. Stinson's overtaken him.
Stinson's
There's
right
no
now
chance.
on the tail of Super Bounty. If you don't mind, we're going to jump onto the onboard for these two. Stinson trying to go around the outside of Super Bounty, and he does. He gets the job done, and he moves around the outside, and he also gets DRS, so that will help him pull away from Super Bounty. What an amazing move from Stinson. I'm so glad I caught that.
So now Izat's going to be overtaken by Proctor, is where he would have come out if he pitted the same lap. So, yeah, I think Izat just tried to leave it too long, and he's got a puncture. And I think he's going to be behind Liv.
I just want to move back up to the front two, since they are the closest, and they have been battling for quite some time. Leica trying his hardest to stay on the tail of Max. Max getting an excellent exit, but Leica does get DRS. Is he gonna try and make the move into the right-hander? I think he will, as he goes down the inside, but I don't think there's enough room for him, and he has to lift off. Max getting an amazing exit out of that corner. These two are going to be fighting to the line right now.
Stinson's going to overtake Showcrime here, and he's going to make it simple. Down the inside he goes, and he's got the move.
All he has to do now is a pretty hard job, which is catching Mats, but I do not think he's going to be able to make up those 5 seconds within one lap as Max goes across the line right now. Then we have Showcrime kind of sticking with Stinson, but slowly pulling back. Stinson's setting the fastest lap, a 1:41.8. A very nice lap on the soft tire.
And he picks up a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, he picks up a penalty immediately afterwards.
So we are on the last lap of the Grand Prix, surprisingly. So we'll get the win here, but Liv is going to overtake Izat now.
I didn't. Yeah, poor Izat getting that, or Izat, sorry, getting that puncture. I've been saying his name wrong the entire time.
Yellow flag sector 3.
That might be
random, yeah.
It might be.
Random's got a penalty puncture now.
He does?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, front left. These drivers have been getting front left punctures. It's crazy. Well, I mean, is on 10 lap old softs. I just want to move up since the final two drivers are in fact approaching the start finish. Robot in dead last. He will be getting a last lap. He will be able to complete the race fully instead of finishing a lap down.
Leica's
locking up, trying to go down the inside of Max, but it doesn't seem to work as Max does come across the line in P1, but he will not keep that position as Leica moves up to P1 and gets the win for the special event.
Nice job from him.
Very nice job.
Brandon's not going to get P10 here.
Yeah, Mats goes across the line in P3, getting another podium for Trident. Very nice work. Stinson going by in P4, Show finishing P5, Super Bounty P6, and Proctor P7. Liv coming
P8.
Liv is going to keep that P8 position more than likely. Is a T fairly far behind, but with that puncture he does stay in the top 10, so very nice job from him bringing home that puncture. What a race from Izat. Stinson.
PJ Robert's going to take home the last he's going to take home the last points if he just keeps on track now. Random's got a puncture, and yeah, that's difficult to control. So he must have pitted. He just got really unlucky with it, I guess.
Yeah, he pitted and he has a bit fresher sauce, but he did get that puncture. And Robot going around the final few corners now fairly close behind Random. A 5-second time penalty for Random for an unserved penalty as Robot finishes. What a race for these drivers. Leica getting the win. Leica's drivatar celebrating in the cockpit. I actually moved up to Leica at like the very last second. Oh, looks like it's Ayrton Senna. Who knew Senna drove for dams in F2?
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that in all honesty. Man, what a race from these drivers.
A Dams 1-2 finish. Good job from them. And then you've got Max coming home P3, Stinson P4, Showcrime P5, Super Bounty P6, Proctor P7 after that, pole position. Liv P8 is that with the puncture in P9, BJ Robbo P10, Random who had a puncture 2, P11, Robot P12, Anders P13, Tommy P14, Yoto Yutsu finishes last in P15. And looking at the results throughout the whole weekend, Max gets the win. So great job from him. Then you got Stinson in P2, Max P3, Izat P4, Leica P5, Showcrime P6, Anders P7, Yoto Yutsu P8, Proctor P9, and Liv rounds out the top 10 for the special event.
Alright. That was quite an interesting feature race. 3 safety cars, only 6 laps of actual on-track action. But, I mean, it is to be expected when you're in the rain in what is basically a boat of a car to drive, although it is a single-seater. Alright, well, thank you all for joining us for the OFR special event. We hope to see you all next time, and have a good rest of your day. You want to say anything before the stream ends, AJ?
I want to say, hope you enjoyed the F2 stream, and we'll be back on Saturday for the D2 and D1 race, and then we've got GTS and D3 on Sunday for the last ever race in season 2. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy your day, and goodbye.
Bye.